Finally, the last film is from 1996, and it's probably the longest of all of the film's Shakespeare adaptations. And this is the adaptation of Hamlet, starring Kate Winslet, Julie Christie, Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, and so many others, starring, adapted, and directed by Kenneth Branagh. It has a Letterboxd score of 3.7 out of 5, and IMDb of 7.7 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes of 95% fresh, and it has no Metacritic as of this time. As for accolades, it has 4 Oscar nominations for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, and Best Score, and it has 2 BAFTA nominations for Production Design and Costume Design. So no matter what I say about the Kenneth Branagh version of Hamlet, I want to just say this right off the bat. I think in a way this film is an accomplishment. You're talking about someone who just said, I just want to take the whole play, turn it into a movie, and found a way to do it. Like, that's an accomplishment. There was nobody behind him saying, do you really need this part? Do you need that? Kenneth Branagh just went in there and said, I am doing the whole damn play, and that's it. And the fact that he did it is, again, I think it's an accomplishment. And I would love to know more about how he did it. Maybe it's not as difficult as I think it is. I can't imagine a producer or people putting the money down saying, I'm going to do a version of Hamlet that is 4 hours long. It's the entire play. And we're going to put it in theaters. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. It's like, how am I going to make my money back? That's what I'm thinking. Like, someone had to have been like, can you make it 2.5 hours? He did it his way. He did it for 4 hours. And I commend that. Like, that's great. Okay, so let's get into my review. There's things I like about the movie, things I don't. So let's get started with the cast. The cast is really good. Oh my God. Every cast member has a good performance in the film. And the cast is like weirdly cameo filled in a way. Like you have in the beginning Jack Lemmon, you have Robin Williams show up, you have Billy Crystal show up, and there is so many cameos that you're watching us going, Richard Attenborough's there, like, oh my God, who's he there? But they're all good. They have a purpose and they do a good job on the roles that they have, no matter what the size is. But I think the best performances are easily Kenneth Branagh as Hamlet and Kate Winslet as Ophelia. I think they have the best performances in the film. At first, I was like, is Branagh a little too old for the role? Because I think he was 36 when he did this, and Hamlet's supposed to be 30. After a little while, I kind of just forgot about it and just went into it with him in the role. I enjoyed his performance. Winslet's very good as Ophelia. I think her performance as Ophelia is the best in the movie. I started to really feel bad for her as the film went on and on and on. I really like Winslet in this film. And I gotta say, the looks of the locations, the sets, the lighting are great. This film looks incredible. Just the way that the castle looks, the halls, the rooms in the film, like they look amazing. But I'm not gonna lie, I was suffering with the runtime in this film. This film is about 4 hours long. I think with the credits about 4 hours and 4 minutes, but it almost reached 4 hours, and there were times in the film where I'm like, my God, are we still in this scene? I know people who've seen the play are like, that's just the play. I'm like, okay, yes, but this is just a movie. So sometimes editing would be a good thing. And that leads me to, I think, my biggest criticism, and just give me some time to explain. This film feels like an exercise on what one could do, but not one should do. To me, it just seemed like Kenneth Branagh saying, I could do this. I can make this entire play into a movie, and I can make it look great, and you'll see I will be able to do this. And no one just asked him, yes, Kenny, great, but should you? Do you want to spend 15 minutes on something that could have been truncated into 3? To me, this film is like the ultimate example of when you adapt something, why cutting certain things or truncating other aspects of the film is actually a good thing. I know purists and people who love certain things from other mediums get pissed when they watch TV shows and movies and they cut or change. They do certain things to their stories that they really like and they take them out or they change them. And I understand the frustration. But in a film, there's reasons why they're truncated. There's reasons why they take certain aspects of a story, change it, or maybe make it lesser or to de-emphasize certain things. Because then you have something like this that just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's not like that they're cutting towards certain things or showing other aspects of the film. They are lingering on the same thing for 15, 20 minutes, which is one of the things that I don't like about the direction. You could have done so much in this film to show what was going on outside of it with certain characters, whatever, but the film lingers for minutes on end. And to me, it just feels like it's a kind of a waste of making it a film. I think what I've read is it literally is the play turned into a movie, which at first you would hear that and go, that's great. They're just being incredibly faithful to the play. But then you watch it, and you're like, well, why don't I just watch the play? But again, like, there's things about the film that are really good, like the look of the film, and the performances are very good. But I'm in this weird zone for Hamlet where I'm going to recommend it because I appreciate what it did. And it actually did a very good job of what it did. I just don't understand why he did it. To me, I watched this film, and I'm like, yeah, this is great that you're able to do this. I just don't understand exactly as to why you would want to. Why not put a spin on it that have you think of Hamlet in a different way? Why not concentrate on certain aspects of the play itself and emphasize those things? Why do the entire 4-hour play just to say, I did the entire 4-hour play? Again, an accomplishment, and overall, I'm going to recommend it, especially if you are a fan of Shakespeare and Shakespearean adaptations. But like I said, this film, it dragged for a while for me. I felt like I was suffering at certain points, going, oh my god, how long is this scene? Overall, I enjoyed it, but I think I enjoyed it because of what it did than actually appreciating the story. If it doesn't make sense, I'll try and talk more in the comments as to how I'm feeling, but that's kind of how I feel right now. And every episode of Watch Rate Hard, I not only give you my opinion of the film I'm watching, but I also give you the opinions of the Letterboxd community. This first review is from Cecilia. Cecilia gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Cecilia says, Kenneth Branagh, I'm going to adapt Hamlet. It'll be very serious and emotional, just as Shakespeare intended. This movie is the goofiest thing I've ever seen. Huh. I didn't find it all that goofy. I mean, there is some... Okay. So when Hamlet's acting crazy, and he is acting crazy, he's not actually crazy, except for, I would say, probably by the end, maybe, I don't know. But that's a bit goofy, I would say. I would agree with that. The entire movie, though? I don't know. I don't think it's that goofy. This next review is from Rory Leach. Rory gives it 2 stars out of 5, and Rory says, Kenneth Branagh, edit your movie challenge. My God. Yeah, was there an editor? And the funny thing about this is that this film was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. And unless you're just saying in the screenplay, okay, so the shot is X, we're going to focus in on this, the camera is moving this way, in a 360 move. What were you doing in the screenplay to adapt it? Like, I think that's funny as hell that he got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. So this is a highly positive review. This next review is from Chris. Chris gives it 5 stars out of 5 with a heart. And Chris says, I walked into this movie not knowing what to expect and ended up sitting through the whole thing in a trance while Kenneth Branagh pulled every single strand of hair out of my scalp for 4 hours straight. Wow, okay, that's good. Also, Horatio and Hamlet were gay and in love. Yeah, I've really noticed in Letterboxd when I've been doing this, a lot of people like to ship straight friendships into gay love, which I find kind of funny. And finally, this review is from Will Steele. Will gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Will says, if the Academy's audacity extended to nominating his screenwriting for an adaptation which neither changed nor trimmed a single line of Shakespeare's work, but then perhaps we should concede Branagh's Belfast may win Best Picture. Thank God it didn't win Best Picture, but it won Screenplay! It won Original Screenplay! That movie was terrible. I think I gave it a 2 when I reviewed it this year. And I look back at it now and I'm like, no, I think I was a little more charitable than I should have been. I don't know, maybe the Academy just loves Kenneth Branagh for some reason. Then again, I did really like Much Ado About Nothing. And I haven't seen the other adaptation that he did of Shakespeare's work, so yeah, that might be why. So in review, this has a great cast, but I think Kenneth Branagh and Kate Winslet have the best performances. The locations and sets are great, but I'm not going to lie, this film dragged on certain points and dragged horribly, and I feel like this is more of an exercise of what could be done than what should have been done. I'm going to give Kenneth Branagh's rendition of Hamlet 3 stars out of 5. It's funny, I'm looking at this film as an accomplishment and just being in wonder of how he got this done and how he was able to do the entire play. Like, I'm looking at that and going, that's an accomplishment within itself, but I have to be honest, this film dragged. And there are certain parts of the film where I'm like, did this really need to be shot this way? Does this really need to be edited this way? Edited. There really isn't any editing in this film. But I really found myself bored in good swaths of the film, but still kind of appreciating what I was watching. Will I watch Hamlet again? No, I won't. It'll be one of those films where I said, well, I watched it, and now I don't have to watch it again. Overall, I think it's a very well-made film. I just don't understand why he made it the way he did. So overall, 3 stars out of 5 for me for Hamlet. Now let's recap the films reviewed in this week's reviews. I gave 3.5 stars out of 5 for My Own Private Idaho. I love the Henry IV sections, but both main actors are great, but their unrequited love story isn't as good as the Henry IV parts. I gave 3 stars out of 5 for Roman Polanski's Macbeth. I think both Finch and Annis are great as Macbeth. I think Annis as Lady Macbeth is really good, and the sets and locations look great. I felt like it dragged at parts, but in all fairness, Macbeth is really not my favorite Shakespearean play. I gave 3.5 stars out of 5 for Twelfth Night. I think it's delightfully charming and funny. The cast is great, but am I really supposed to believe that everyone was fooled by Stubbs being a man in this film? I just found that really distracting. I gave 3 stars out of 5 for Kenneth Branagh's rendition of Hamlet. Great cast with key performances by Winslet and Branagh. It's got beautiful sets and locations, but it really is a good example of why sometimes truncating and cutting back can help a film a lot. And my film of the week is Kenneth Branagh's rendition of Much Ado About Nothing, which I gave 4 stars out of 5 with a heart. I found the film hilariously witty, warm, and charming. I felt like almost all the cast was fantastic, including Emma Thompson, Kenneth Branagh, Robert Sean Leonard, Kate Beckinsale, Denzel Washington. In fact, most of the cast is fantastic in the film. And of course, the locations and lighting were beautifully shot. But man, is Keanu Reeves awful in this film. He is so bad, but he doesn't hamper an otherwise very enjoyable film. And that is it for this episode of Watch Rate Heart. But before I go, let me ask you a question. Is there a Shakespearean play you would like to see adapted or reimagined? Well, again, since I think all of them pretty much have been. So let me know in the comments what your selection is. I really don't have one, to be absolutely honest. I'm at a point now where there's so many adaptations. I'm like, do we really need another one? But you know what? Somebody is going to remake or reimagine a film that I never thought would have been remade, and it's going to be really good. So we'll see about that. Let me know in the comments what your selection is. Now let's discuss next week's episodes. Next week's theme will be a celebration for Memorial Day, so we're watching films all centered around the military. The films we're reviewing are the Brad Pitt starring Fury, the Jake Gyllenhaal vehicle Jarhead, Robert Altman's classic film MASH, and the Howard Hawks directed Sergeant York. Check that out next week. If you like any of the reviewers I've highlighted in this episode, you can check the video description for a link to their Letterboxd profile, and be sure to give them a follow and let them know that Brad from Watch Rate Heart sent you. You follow me at Letterboxd and X at Watch Rate Heart. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and share with your friends. I'm Brad from Watch Rate Heart. Thank you for watching, and remember, we all watch and rate movies, but you give them the heart that makes them live forever.